Professor Kethvar's 6 eyes gleamed with anticipation as he addressed the mixed group of students in the xenobiology lab aboard the research station Harmony's Edge. The Zeltharian's chitinous plates clicked softly as he moved between the holographic displays showing various death worlds throughout the galaxy. "Today, we begin our field study of Terra," he announced, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into standard galactic. "As you know, this planet has been classified as a Class-XII Death World, making it one of the most hostile environments known to support sapient life." Marcus Chen, the only human in the group of 12 students, tried not to roll his eyes. He was here as part of the Terran Galactic Academic Exchange Program, though sometimes he wondered if his role was more like a living exhibit than a student. The other 11 students, a mix of Zeltharians, Vorthan, and the crystalline XFY, had been studying Earth's ecosystem for months in theory. Now they were finally going to see it firsthand. "Student Chen," Professor Kethvar's attention turned to him, "perhaps you could enlighten your colleagues about your planet's apex predators? Specifically, the creature your people call tiger?" Marcus straightened up, noting how several of his classmates instinctively shifted away from him. Even after months together, they still seemed nervous around him, the product of a death world, as they put it. "Tigers are one of our largest land predators," Marcus began. "They're solitary hunters, incredibly strong, and perfectly adapted for stealth kills. They can weigh up to 660 pounds, about 300 kilograms, and are capable of taking down prey much larger than themselves." Zixtal, a young Vorthan whose blue scales shimmered with nervous energy, raised a tentacle. "But surely they avoid the truly dangerous creatures? Even on death worlds, predators must show caution around the apex species." Marcus paused, remembering a documentary he'd seen about tigers in the Sundarbans. "Actually, there's something you should know about tigers. They don't really have a concept of too dangerous to hunt." The silence that followed was telling. Professor Kethvar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Explain." "Well," Marcus said, choosing his words carefully, "tigers have been known to hunt and kill some of the most dangerous predators on our planet, including crocodiles, bears, and—" He paused for dramatic effect. "Even humans. Regularly." The reaction was immediate. Several XFY students' crystalline bodies flashed alarmed colors, while the Zeltharians' protective plates snapped shut over their vulnerable spots. "Impossible," wheezed Gorth UK, the largest Vorthan in the class. "Humans are the apex species of your world. We've seen your combat records, your wars, your technological prowess. No mere animal would dare." "That's where you're wrong," Marcus interrupted gently. "Tigers kill humans all the time. In some regions of Earth, they're known as man-eaters. They specifically hunt us for food." Professor Kethvar's eyes fixed on Marcus with new intensity. "Student Chun, are you telling us that your world harbors predators that regularly prey upon your own species? Sapient beings?" "Yes, sir. And we kind of respect them for it." The stunned silence that followed was broken only by the soft humming of the station's life support systems. Finally, Professor Kethvar's translator crackled to life. "I believe it's time we visited Terra. This requires direct observation." The shuttle educational endeavor descended through Earth's atmosphere, its shields glowing as they encountered the planet's surprisingly robust magnetosphere. Through the viewports, the alien students got their first real look at the world that had produced Marcus. "By the 7 suns," whispered Rixtel, a young XFY whose crystalline form was pulsing with amazed yellow light. "Look at all that water. And those white formations, are those frozen water crystals?" "Clouds," Marcus confirmed, trying to see his home world through their eyes. "The white stuff is water vapor. And yeah, about 71% of our surface is liquid water." The Vorthan students were practically pressed against the viewports. Their homeworld was largely desert, with water being a precious resource carefully managed by their civilization. The idea of entire oceans was almost incomprehensible to them. "Your atmospheric composition readings are intense," noted Jekvar, one of the Zeltharian students. His natural carapace was already showing stress patterns. 21% oxygen? How do you not spontaneously combust? Evolution, Marcus replied simply. Everything on Earth adapted to it. Professor Kethvar was reviewing the mission parameters on his datapad. We'll be landing at the Sundarban Reserve in what you humans call Bangladesh. The local authorities have agreed to allow our study, though they've insisted on providing us with what they term adequate protection. Protection from what? Asked Gorthuke nervously. Marcus looked out at the vast mangrove forests appearing below them. From everything, probably. The Sundarbans are where the tigers learned to hunt humans as a primary food source. They're different there. As the shuttle touched down on the prepared landing pad, they could see a group of humans waiting for them. The aliens' various sensory organs immediately picked up the electromagnetic signatures of advanced weaponry, heavily armored vehicles, and what appeared to be military-grade defensive equipment. This is Dr. Rajesh Gupta, the lead human said through the universal translator as they disembarked. He was flanked by 6 other humans, all carrying what Marcus recognized as high-powered rifles. I'm the lead researcher for the Bengal Tiger Conservation Project. These are my colleagues and our protection detail. Protection detail? Professor Kethvar inquired, his translator struggling with the concept. Dr. Gupta's expression was grim. Professor, you're about to enter the territory of the most efficient predator Earth has ever produced. These tigers don't just hunt for survival. They hunt humans as a preferred prey species. We've had 12 researchers killed in the last 3 years, despite our best precautions. The alien students exchanged horrified looks. Zixtal's blue scales had turned almost white with fear. Surely you exaggerate? No animal would preferentially hunt the dominant sapient species unless driven to desperation by starvation or territorial disputes. Dr. Gupta looked at Marcus, who nodded grimly. Show them the footage document. A holographic display flickered to life, showing infrared video taken from a drone. The alien students watched in stunned silence as a massive striped form moved through the water with impossible stealth, approaching a small boat containing 2 humans. The tiger was enormous, easily 12 feet long and built like a living weapon. This individual is known as Ghost Walker, Dr. Gupta explained. He's killed at least 37 humans over the past 4 years. Notice how he approaches from underwater, completely silent, calculating the exact moment to strike when the boat passes over the submerged log he's using for cover. The video continued, showing the tiger exploding from the water with shocking speed and power, capsizing the boat and disappearing with one of the occupants in a matter of seconds. By the void, whispered Rixtel, his crystalline form now flashing rapid patterns of distress. It planned that. That was a calculated ambush using environmental features. Tigers are intelligent, Marcus confirmed. They study their prey, learn patterns, set traps. And humans? We're just another prey species to them. Professor Kethvar's mandibles were clicking rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. This changes everything we thought we knew about predator-prey relationships. On every other world we've studied, once a species achieves sapience and technology, natural predators either adapt to avoid them or go extinct. Not on Earth, Dr. Gupta said grimly. On Earth, some predators adapted to hunt us better. The first day of field observation had been conducted from the safety of armored vehicles, but the alien students had seen enough to understand that Earth's ecosystem operated under rules completely foreign to their experience. Now, on day 2, Dr. Gupta was preparing to show them something that would fundamentally challenge their understanding of predator behavior. Today, we're going to observe a hunt, Dr. Gupta announced, checking his rifle for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. Tiger 04, a male we've been tracking for 6 months, has been stalking a group of researchers about 2 kilometers from here. We're going to watch how he operates. The alien students were huddled inside their environmental suits, the atmosphere of Earth being tolerable but not comfortable for most of them. Marcus noted that even with full protection, they seemed constantly on edge. Dr. Gupta, Professor Kethvar inquired, his voice tight with what Marcus was learning to recognize as barely controlled terror. Surely you don't mean you're going to allow this creature to actually attack humans? The researchers are decoys, Dr. Gupta explained. Military volunteers in full combat armor. They know what's coming, and they're equipped with non-lethal deterrence. But Tiger 04 doesn't know that. As far as he's concerned, he's hunting his preferred prey. They moved through the mangrove forests in their armored observation vehicle, sensors scanning constantly for the massive predator. Marcus found himself in the odd position of being the calmest member of the group. Growing up on Earth had given him a healthy respect for dangerous animals, but not the existential terror his alien classmates were experiencing. "Contact," whispered Captain Singh, their military escort leader, through the comm system. Tiger 04, bearing 127, distance approximately 800 meters. He's moving parallel to the research team, staying in deep water. The alien students crowded around the sensor display, watching the thermal signature of something that shouldn't exist according to everything they knew about evolution and ecology. "He's following them," Zixtal observed, his voice barely a whisper. "But why doesn't he just attack? He's clearly capable of overwhelming them." "Because he's studying them," Marcus explained. "Tigers don't just rely on strength and speed. They're strategic hunters. He's learning their patterns, their weaknesses, their escape routes." The thermal display showed Tiger 04 moving with impossible stealth through water that should have made any large creature's movement obvious. He stayed just close enough to observe his intended prey while remaining completely undetected. "Incredible," muttered Rixtel, his crystalline form pulsing with scientific fascination despite his obvious fear. He's maintaining perfect distance for observation while using the thermal layers of the water to mask his signature. This level of tactical thinking rivals that of military professionals. Dr. Gupta nodded grimly. Tigers in the Sundarbans have been hunting humans for centuries. They've evolved not just physically, but behaviorally. They understand human technology, human patterns, human psychology. They know we rely heavily on sight and sound, so they attack from our sensory blind spots. On the display, Tiger 04 had stopped moving. The research team, unaware they were being stalked by nearly 700 pounds of perfectly evolved killing machine, continued their work, taking water samples and recording data. "Why has he stopped?" asked Gorthuke, his tentacles writhing with nervous energy. Captain Singh's voice came through the comm, tense with professional admiration. "He's reading the wind. Look at the vegetation patterns on the surface," the breeze shifted. "He's repositioning so his scent won't carry to them." The alien students watched in horrified fascination as the thermal signature began moving again, this time in a wide arc that would bring the tiger around to approach from downwind. The level of tactical sophistication was beyond anything they had expected from a non-sapient predator. "This is impossible," Professor Kethvar's translator crackled. "This level of strategic thinking, environmental awareness, and prey analysis requires cognitive abilities that should only exist in sapient species." "Tigers aren't sapient," Marcus replied quietly. "They're just perfect." What happened next would be talked about in xenobiology circles for decades to come. Tiger 04 had positioned himself perfectly, downwind, concealed by both water and vegetation, with a clear approach route to his chosen target. The alien students watched through their sensors as the massive predator began what Dr. Gupta called the final approach. "Thermal signature is fading," Captain Singh reported, his voice carrying professional amazement. "He's controlling his body temperature somehow, using the water temperature differential to mask his heat signature." "Behaviorally adapted thermoregulation," Dr. Gupta explained quietly. "Sundarbans tigers have learned to use the environment to defeat our thermal imaging. They slow their metabolism, allow water temperature to equalize with their surface temperature, and become essentially invisible to our sensors." The alien students were witnessing something that challenged every assumption they had about Earth's ecosystem. On their worlds, predators were either small and quick or large and obvious. The idea of a 600-pound apex predator that could become functionally invisible was beyond their comprehension. "I'm losing him on all sensors." Captain Singh's voice carried a note of genuine concern. "Visual contact negative, thermal negative, electromagnetic negative. He's just gone." The research team continued their work, oblivious to the fact that they were being stalked by something that had turned invisibility into an art form. The alien students found themselves holding their collective breath, knowing that somewhere in the murky water around those humans, a perfect killing machine was preparing to strike. "There," Marcus whispered, pointing at the display. Movement in the water, about 20 meters from the lead researcher. It was barely visible, just a slight disturbance in the water that could have been anything. But Dr. Gupta's expression went tight with recognition. "That's not Tiger 04, he said slowly. "That's impossible." Tiger 04 was approaching from the northeast. "This is coming from the southwest." The implications hit everyone simultaneously. Professor Kethvar's mandibles began clicking rapidly. "There's more than one? Bengal tigers are solitary hunters," Dr. Gupta said, but his voice carried a note of uncertainty. "They don't coordinate. They don't work together. It's not in their behavioral profile." On the display, 2 separate disturbances in the water were now visible, one from the northeast, one from the southwest. The research team was about to be caught between 2 apex predators, and they didn't even know it. "Abort!" Captain Singh's voice crackled over the comm. "All units, abort the exercise. We have multiple contacts." But even as he spoke, the water around the research team exploded into action. The alien students watched in stunned horror as 2 massive tigers simultaneously breached the surface, moving with coordinated precision that should have been impossible for solitary hunters. The humans in the water reacted with trained efficiency, activating their deterrent systems and calling for extraction. But for a few terrifying seconds, the alien students got to see exactly what it looked like when Earth's perfect predators decided to hunt together. "They're coordinating." Rixtel's voice was barely a whisper. 2 apex predators, coordinating a synchronized attack on sapient beings. This violates everything we know about predator psychology. The tigers broke off their attack as the deterrents activated, but not before making their point clear. Humans were prey, and Earth's predators would adapt whatever behaviors were necessary to hunt them successfully. As the research team was extracted by helicopter, the alien students sat in stunned silence. Finally, Zixtal spoke up. "Marcus, how does your species maintain its position as the dominant life form on this planet?" Marcus looked out at the mangrove swamps, where 2 of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy had just demonstrated tactical sophistication that rivaled military operations. "Same way the tigers do," he said quietly. "We adapt." The final day of the field study took place in Dr. Gupta's research station, surrounded by enough security to stop a small army. The alien students were processing what they had witnessed, their various forms of note-taking equipment working overtime as they tried to catalog the impossible things they had seen. "I need to understand something," Professor Kethvar said, his translator carrying undertones of deep confusion. "Student Chen, your species has developed faster-than-light travel, energy weapons capable of cracking planets, and artificial intelligences that can process information at quantum speeds. How is it possible that you remain prey to these tigers?" Marcus looked around the room at his alien classmates, seeing the same question in all their expressions. How do you explain to beings from relatively peaceful worlds that on Earth, technological advancement and physical survival were 2 completely different evolutionary pressures? "It's not that we can't kill them," Marcus began carefully. "We could wipe out every tiger on Earth in a matter of days if we wanted to. The thing is, we don't want to. You don't want to eliminate a predator that actively hunts your species?" Gorthuke's tentacles were writhing in patterns that Marcus had learned indicated complete bewilderment. Dr. Gupta leaned forward, his expression serious. "Gentlemen, what Marcus is trying to explain is something fundamental about human psychology. We don't just survive on this planet. We understand that our survival depends on the very predators that hunt us." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's ecosystem in all its brutal complexity. "Every predator you've seen, every dangerous creature that makes our world a death world, by your classifications, serves a crucial role in maintaining the balance that allows our civilization to exist." Rixtel's crystalline form pulsed with confused patterns. "But surely survival of your species should take precedence over ecosystem balance? This seems irrational." Does it? Marcus asked. Tell me about your homeworlds. How many apex predators do you have? The alien students exchanged glances. The XFY eliminated our last apex predators approximately 2,000 years ago, Rixtel admitted. They were interfering with our crystal gardens. Vorthan homeworld has 3 small predators, added Zixtal, all carefully managed and contained in preservation zones. And that, Dr. Gupta said quietly, is why your species produce individuals who can't psychologically handle the concept of being prey. You've removed that pressure from your evolution. Humans haven't. We've been prey animals for our entire evolutionary history, and some of our predators have gotten better at hunting us as we've gotten better at survival. Marcus nodded. Tigers have been perfecting the art of hunting humans for thousands of years. Every generation of tigers learns from the last, adapts to our newest defenses, develops new strategies. They're not just predators, they're competitors. They push us to be better, smarter, more adaptable. This is insane, whispered Jekvar, his carapace showing deep stress patterns. You're describing an arms race between your species and your predators. That should lead to extinction, not civilization. Should it? Marcus asked. Or does it lead to a species that can adapt to anything? Think about it. Humans are the only species in the galaxy that actively seeks out dangerous environments for recreation. We climb mountains that can kill us, dive to ocean depths that can crush us, explore caves that can trap us. Why do you think we do that? Professor Kethvar was very still, his 6 eyes fixed on Marcus with new understanding. Because your death world trained you to see danger as a challenge to overcome, not a threat to avoid. Exactly. Every human alive today is descended from ancestors who survived being hunted by tigers, crocodiles, bears, sharks, venomous snakes, and about 1,000 other things that wanted to eat us. We didn't eliminate our predators. We learned to coexist with them, and that made us into something that can thrive in any environment. Dr. Gupta brought up the final piece of footage from their study, thermal imaging of Tiger 04 and his hunting partner moving through the Sundarbans with impossible stealth and coordination. These tigers represent something your species have never encountered, he said to the alien students. Predators that don't just hunt for survival, but hunt for the intellectual challenge of it. They've learned to see humans not just as food, but as the ultimate test of their abilities. And humans have learned to see tigers the same way, Marcus added. Every human researcher who works in the Sundarbans knows they're being hunted. They know that somewhere out there is a 600-pound genius with claws and fangs who has made it his life's work to figure out how to kill them. And they keep coming back because proving they can survive that challenge is what makes them human. The silence that followed was profound. Finally, Rixtel's crystalline form pulsed with what Marcus was learning to recognize as deep contemplation. I think, the XFY student said slowly, we're beginning to understand why humans were the first species to develop interstellar warfare capabilities, and why every other species in the galaxy finds your military tactics so unsettling. Marcus smiled grimly. When you've spent your entire evolutionary history being hunted by things like tigers, conventional military strategy starts to seem pretty predictable. Professor Kethvar's mandibles clicked in what might have been approval or horror. Class dismissed, he announced. I believe we all have a great deal to reconsider about the relationship between environmental pressure and species development. As the alien students filed out, still processing what they had learned, Dr. Gupta looked at Marcus with newfound respect. You know, he said quietly, I think you just gave them the most important lesson in xenobiology they'll ever receive. Marcus looked out the window at the Sundarban mangroves, where somewhere in the murky water, Tiger 04 was probably already planning his next hunt. Yeah, he said softly. Welcome to Earth.